Today we're going to go through another round of rapid fire questions from the audience. Oftentimes you send us questions through our email at hello@beachcommute.com. You send us awesome comments and feedback directly in Spotify. And all of these are things that, most of these things are things that we don't usually think of because we're kind of immersed in this world. So a lot of times what we do is we save up these questions and these comments and we'll either turn it into an entire podcast, or if they're a little bit shorter answers, we turn it into a rapid fire Q&A session between me and Marissa. And a lot of times we don't actually know what the questions are, so we try to do it on the fly so it's not rehearsed. And so you get like a really genuine, raw response from us. In this instance, I actually know a couple of these. I didn't really rehearse anything, but I saw a few of them. And I think we're going to be able to tackle these pretty well. So, other than that, I've left Costa Rica. The beach is gone. Very
so
sad. Marissa saw me today. I'm in sweats. I've got my dog in here, a little space heater going. But, things are all right. I had a good taste of the beach. Costa Rica, again, amazing, unbelievable. I won't see a sunset for another, I don't know how many months. So sad.
It was weird to see you in a jacket today. I am still in Costa Rica.
The first thing you said.
The sun is shining, looking at palm trees. It's blue.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice. I'm feeling bright. So excited to chat, but it was so fun having you here for a little while, and I'm sure you will get back to sunset soon.
Yeah, we had 3 weeks. That was a blast.
Yeah, so good. I'll be here who knows how much longer, but we'll see, and I'm excited to dig into these questions today. So with that, can I read you the first one?
Do it. Let's go.
Okay, so question number 1 is, will remote workers eventually become, quote, digital immigrants? So
Digital
what does that mean
immigrants.
to you, Jeff? And what is your answer?
What an expression. That's not a term yet, right? Is it?
This is the first I've heard of it.
Digital immigrant. So when I just Googled it. I don't know if AI Answers just made some shit up or not, or if this actually is. All right, so the definition, and according to AI overviews, which could be an absolute hallucination, is an individual who was born before the widespread adoption of digital technology and had to learn to adapt to it later in life. That is not.
That's not
correct.
what we were
That's
thinking.
not what they're referring to when they ask that question. Okay, so the way I see it is a digital immigrant would be, I think, a digital nomad who lands somewhere outside of their home country in a more semi-permanent type of way. Kind of, I think it was an expat, actually, is what they're meaning to say. Like a digital nomad turned expat.
Yeah, that's just wondering. I was like, what's the difference between a digital immigrant and an expat?
I think it's an expat, but I think it's just got a new fancy wrapper
Calling
around
it. A new
it.
term because they're working remotely instead of on the ground working, maybe?
I guess, yeah. I think it's just like maybe an evolution of the digital nomad, and I can't argue with that. I think so. I mean, if I look at us, our travel has slowed down pretty substantially. I mean, looking at this year, I spent 4 months in the same place in Mexico. You're twice in the same place in Costa Rica. And then to contrast that, I traveled quickly digital nomading, quote unquote, in the summer and absolutely burned out and lost my routine. And I was just like, I want it slower. I see it across our friends. I think so. And then even looking at some of them, they've somewhat moved. Like Kevin's moved to Valencia in Spain. Jordan's moved to Portugal. Our other friend, Guy Jordan's moved to Puerto Escondido. I think kind of, maybe,
Yeah.
partially true. What do you think?
I think so. If we're really looking at this as kind of like our digital nomad friends turned find one place you like abroad and find a way to stay there with new digital nomad visas or permissions, or some people just actually getting residencies or passports even in new places. I think so. So the question, will remote workers eventually become digital immigrants? I think not all of them. I think some people decide to go explore for a little bit. They do the digital nomad thing, whether that's traveling to different countries every month or two like we have, or they find a place for a year or two, and then some people go home and it's like they've collected the new experiences, they did it, they tried it, and now maybe you want to go back and you realize home is where you want to be. So not everybody will, but it definitely, if I think about this new term digital immigrant, if I think about digital nomad visas or just more, there's so many more visas today so many more countries allowing people to live somewhere kind of permanent. It's just easier to kind of become a permanent resident if you can prove you either have a certain amount of money in your bank account as like being retired or having enough passive income, or that you make a certain amount each month from digital income, from your remote job or your own business. You have permission to kind of live in this way. So I don't think it's like 100% of the world is about to become a digital immigrant. I don't think 100% of digital nomads are becoming, quote, digital immigrants or expats, but I do think a large portion is. And I think the trend that we've seen is like so many countries. I feel like every month I'm seeing somebody post something new about like, now this country you can stay longer. Now this country you can stay longer. You could stay a year or two easily. There's a new 5-year visa. Like those are becoming so much more prevalent. So I think that's the case.
Okay, so that brings us to question 2.
Yep.
All right. So, are you ready?
Yes. And this one came, I want to say, from an email that somebody sent us. So Jeff will read it out. It's like a lot of questions within one question, all on the same topic. So bring it to us.
Logistics question. The logistics of moving and housing. So, question is, I've moved on my own several times, and I'm resourceful, so I know how I would figure it out. But I'm just curious if most people are keeping a home base in the U.S., as in paying rent or a mortgage, and then traveling on top of that, question 1, or are you giving up a home base altogether, question 2. I'm also curious about the logistics of your stuff. Do you just get rid of everything? Do you travel with a very small amount and keep the rest in storage? Again, I would figure it out fairly quickly, but I'm interested in what other people tend to do and what the nuts and bolts of it are. Go ahead.
It's a really good question, and the part 2 depends on what you choose with part 1. So to start with part 1 is, do most people, her question was keep a home base in the U.S., but whatever your home country is, do you kind of keep your home base, like paying your full year of rent or mortgage and travel on top of that, or are people letting go and just traveling? So let's start with that. And I would say we don't have exact data, but again, anecdotally from our collective, digital nomad friends and people in our community, I would say it's a strong 50-50 of people who are like really nomading for some years. I would say somewhere in the realm of 50% of our friends have a home base in their own country and will travel, whether it's like a month or 2 and then go home and then stay home for 3-4 months and then go another month or 2 or 3 and come back, or even if it's just, whatever that looks like here and there. I would say half of them keep a home base with all their furniture and all their stuff, and then just either rent it out while they're gone or just kind of keep it empty and kind of pay double while they're traveling. And then I would say the other 50% of people just like went all in, got rid of like all of their belongings, all of their things. Some people we'll go to the second question in a second, but some people put stuff in storage, some people didn't. But like I would say 50% of people no longer have any sort of home base at all. They're just winging it, traveling around the world, going month to month or months to months or however, week to week, whatever they want to be doing. And just like wherever they land is truly their home, and they have all their stuff with them. That's the first part before we go into more of the logistics of stuff. Do you feel the same for like percentages or anything differently you want to add there?
Yeah, there's no way to do this because everybody's got a different story. I mean, everyone's got a wildly different story, and it's really unique to them, how they started this thing. Like, I started, 2 months and I rented out, sublet my house for a little. Some people sublet their rentals. Some people keep their houses. Some people get rid of their houses. I mean, it really just comes down to convenience to the person, what makes the most sense in their situation. So, I mean, there's no rule. There's no way it's like digital nomads need to do this. This is the easiest way. I don't think there is an easiest way that you just say.
Yeah.
So now I got nothing.
And we've talked a lot about our stories in general of like when I first started, I had a condo. I kind of I rented it out to people. So I wasn't double paying, but I did it for a 4-month kind of contract with them. I had something to come home for it was like holidays, a wedding, friend's wedding, stuff like that. So I did it 4 months, came because I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe that's all I want to do. And then I'll come home and still, haven't given up my whole entire life. I have something to come home to. So I don't know. My suggestion is if you can swing it to either, like if you're just starting out, give it like a set period of time and either save up enough to just leave your place and pay to also be gone, or find a way to like rent it out to a friend or somebody if you can for a set time and give it a try and see if you like it. And then if you're like, I'm doing this forevermore and I can't figure out how to keep it, then, sell your stuff, get rid of your place, go on throughout the world. But I will say, I feel like you might feel this way from what you've done as well. And I know both of us started with pets was a reason we kept our homes in the beginning too. But it's really, I would say, if you can, it's really nice to be able to keep your home and home base. Even if you're renting it out and you can't be there, there's something mentally nice about feeling grounded and being like, I have a place I can go back to, whether that's 6 months after you finish renting it or a year. I don't know. There's something nice about that. But I think there's also a lot of people who want to go move. Like if you're someone who's like, you want to go move to a new country for a year or 2 or 3, and like you really know where you want to go and you have your heart set and like for a long extended time, then maybe it makes sense to either definitely rent your place out that long or get rid of it. So as Jeff said, there is no right or wrong. It really depends on your situation. But if you can find a way to keep a home base, if you're kind of going like flowing throughout the world and moving around a lot, it's nice to have. I would say personally, that's my personal preference.
I think it's kind of nice. Like it's if you're able to do it. Some people don't. We've got fewer and fewer full-time nomad friends, as we've just discussed, but it's good to have a recharge spot, I think. When you just need to stop moving around. So yeah, if you can do it, I think it's more convenient. But if you can't do it, you'll work it out.
Yeah.
I've got a better I think I've got better advice for you than you'll figure it out, because you will. You will figure it out. And it's really like following somebody else's model might not be the way,
Yeah. One step at a time.
Time.
And then the second part to that, I guess, then quickly. So it said, did you just get rid of everything to only travel with a very small amount, keep the rest in storage? For me, I was renting out my place, so I removed all of like my clothing and personal belongings and put them like at it was a kind of storage with a family member. And I was able to keep all my furniture in there that needed to be there to rent it out. So that was my way. But there's a lot of people who will put stuff in storage units and find that they never go back to those storage units for like many, many years and wish they hadn't. But, it's nice. It feels good to do that at first. But yeah, some people just kind of get rid of everything, like fully knowing that they're gone forever, and they travel with, one suitcase and a backpack, and that's all they own then. So there is no right or wrong way. Both people do both, and I guess you kind of do what feels right to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
You to me. Okay.
I will raise. Okay, so the next question is, it says, remote work equals the end of the quote American dream blueprint? Question mark. So I guess the question is remote work the end of the quote American dream blueprint? House, kids, suburb, commute, Costco life, all of that.
Okay, what is the American dream? I think we got to define that, right? So is that like owning a house in the suburbs, going to work, coming home, 9 to 5, kids, shopping on the weekends, chores, that kind of thing? Is that
I think so.
It sounds kind of cynical when I say it that way, but I mean that honestly. Is that what it is?
I think so. I feel like it's kind of, I would add to that, the American dream would be feeling like you can come and make a lot of, like a decent amount of money, right? Like whether you are American or you come there to do that would be come, have a good job or start a business, make a lot of money, have the house, the kids, the fence, the dog, like you said, the commute, the car, the Costco, chugging along in life. I don't know. That's American dream, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a multi-part answer, I think. So I just did some quick research. Something in the neighborhood of about 60 to 75% of entire households can't afford to buy a home. So without even leaving the United States, that part of the American dream is sailing away. And like if you, and even if you look at, I think that's across everybody. If you look at the newer like Gen X, I'm sure that number is way, way, way higher. Just coming into the workforce.
I mean, Gen
looking
Z?
at
Gen X is
more than
us.
Gen X is, the Gen X is the hardened badasses. Don't take any shit. I mix them up. Gen Z, I mean, just coming into the workforce now and say your average, mortgage in California is going to run you around $6,000 a month. So, man, no. I mean, I think that part's kind of gone, and I think the appealing part is a couple things. One, cost arbitrage. If you want to own a home here, and you're just coming up in the workforce, $6,000 a month straight to rent, probably. But if you want to go and live in Mexico, that's way more appealing because you could rent an Airbnb or not even Airbnb. You could do long-term rentals like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months for, I don't know, a few $1,000s. The cost arbitrage of digital nomad is way more appealing. So I think that the housing aspect is one thing. Just affordability is a big deal. And so that kind of cuts into the American dream of being able to have your dollar go a certain distance, which it cannot anymore. So like my old man bought his first house at like 23 with 2 Corvettes on a caterer's salary, catering.
I love that you say my old man. I've never heard you say that.
I think it says that on my phone. I think it says Pops, actually. Pops. We call him Pops. But I mean, like,
right. We cannot
that
do
doesn't
that
happen anymore.
No.
As a percentage of income, I think it's gone from like 15% up to like 60% to pay for your mortgage. So yeah, I think that aspect's gone. And then I think people are starting to rethink, do I want to have the suburb life? Do I want to be married with kids and doing the Costco runs? I think in the newer generation, probably mixed, but I think probably more people are not thinking about doing that. As say, maybe our generation, Gen X, Boomers. I think there are a lot more.
Boomers
of that,
are older than Gen X.
Yeah.
Oh, you are saying that.
Got that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got it. Boomers, Gen X, Millennials,
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Got it. And then Alpha.
Yeah,
okay,
I think so.
Yeah. All millennials and older.
There we go.
I think probably, probably a little bit more likely to want those kind of things, that American dream of just stability, household, owning things, having your cars, having your pets, all that kind of stuff. The newer generations, I'm just guessing, I think probably less. And I think cost is pushing that away. I think people are rethinking how they want to spend their time, where they want to live. So those are just my guesses. So I do think that the American dream is maybe slipping away for those reasons. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are still like holding on tight to it and haven't let it go, and in my opinion, living a little delusionally. But they're holding on. But I think a lot more people are waking up to it, and it's funny. I'm sure this is part of like my feed and what you and I follow on social media and all of that. But I keep every now and then there's this little like text that comes up on my Instagram feed from videos, and they keep saying like the American dream is now, what is it called? Like living in Europe, basically. I'm like butchering the quote of it, but it's saying the new American dream is the European dream.
Not wrong either.
Yeah, and it's funny because even as what you talked a lot about, which I also agree with, is cost arbitrage, which is like a lot of digital nomad friends are realizing you can go to Central America, South America, Asia, parts of Africa, and just your money goes a lot further. So what you can't afford in the U.S., as you just talked about, goes there. There's all sorts of implications and things that we've talked about on the podcast before of like, is that, ethical, all of that. That aside, I think people are factually doing it because they can now. But even with that aside, if we look at Europe and let's say the places in Europe we're talking about can be fairly similar costs, I would say, to the US in a lot of ways. But the lifestyle is so much better there. So I think the Instagram posts that I'm seeing, even like cost aside, are like, as you go to Europe, if you look at France and Italy and Spain, of the quality of life, of like not the same hustle and grind, like rest and nap in the middle of the day, or just have more beautiful life. And like I remember coming home from Europe, I had such culture shock of coming to the US and just seeing strip malls and like how ugly everything was. And I feel like people are now talking about the European dream because it's so much like, it's not I like the tropical dream. We know this, the tropical ocean dream. But for a lot of people, the European cobblestone streets and the cafes and everything's more beautiful in town squares, where it's like so ugly in the US for us now in different places. So I think part of that like American dream is dying because they're like, wait, there's other places in the world that are like more affordable, better health, the food quality is better, the lifestyle is better.
Food alone. Yeah,
food alone.
exactly.
The food is just killing everyone in the US.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
big pharma,
Eating all that
don't
good
come for me.
food
Yeah,
in,
it's just like
Costa Rica.
Yeah, and Costa Rica is not even known for
Big Sugar's
going to
come for you
Big
now.
Sugar's coming for me. Like maybe we need to edit that out. Don't but do. But I do fully believe that it's like I do think there's and it depends on, I don't know, a lot of people who haven't left the country don't realize all this. I really do feel like I feel like they don't even, I don't know, there's a lot. Because I remember like before, so many people in the US have the mindset of like, the US is the best healthcare, the best this, the best that. And then you leave the country and you're like, this is not true at all. And like everyone outside the US is like, I never want to live in the US. That sounds terrible. So I think for a lot of people who have exposed themselves to other places, the American dream definitely has become a different dream. But yeah, there's a lot to it.
You know what? Fewer people are having kids too. That's a big part of the American dream.
True.
I just pulled up an interesting infographic on this. So if you look at married parents in 1960, it was 44.2% of all people. It's down to 17.9%.
Wow. I've never heard that.
I know. Single, no kids went from 13.1% up to 29%.
Wow, that's
and
huge.
Then, I know. Married, no kids has stayed exactly the same. Single parents has gone up a little bit. And then people with households with unmarried partners, roommates, or adult relatives, it's like an other category. It's gone from 8% to 16%. So, I mean, it's people are just having fewer and fewer kids. And that kind of happens in a more urbanized society. You see it across all developed nations. Italy, Spain, just fewer and fewer kids happen the more a country seems to like develop and become more urban. It's just, I don't know, it's a natural thing. But also, yeah, fewer kids means, less of the American dream, quote unquote. Yeah, next email question is navigating healthcare. So obviously you need to pay out of pocket for health insurance if it's not covered by work. But I'm curious what your experience has been when you need medical attention abroad. Do you ever establish a PCP? I don't know what that is. Or are you too on the move? Does U.S. insurance work abroad, or do you need additional travel insurance? Well, let's start with that because there's a few other, specific questions in there. So, like, how would you just broadly answer healthcare?
Okay.
It's a whole podcast topic.
Yeah.
But let's just try to nail it down.
I feel like you're good at finding episode numbers while I start. I think I feel like it was a really long time ago. We did a whole episode on this.
I can find it.
If Jeff finds it, we'll share it right now. But the first question is like, does insurance work abroad, or do you need additional international travel insurance? So we can really only speak for US, like having US insurance and also traveling for Jeff and I. So if you're listening from another country, it might be like, I feel like European healthcare is just like better in general. Some countries are better in general. So this is how it works for if you're a US resident, like citizen resident. So
episode 25.
It was a really long time ago.
We might have to revisit that one.
Yeah, maybe we'll re-record that one. So episode 25, if you want to listen to, like, Jeff and I went full details on this. We shared a lot of our personal stories of times that we needed healthcare abroad. And it's been definitely like a few times in different countries. So check that one out if you want like a more extended answer. But the short answer is what we do and what I do is I keep like US healthcare. And what happens is your US insurance, I forget the exact number and it probably varies depending on your carrier. But if you are out of the country, for some carriers, it's like if you're gone for more than 2 weeks, some of them is more than 30 days, some might be 60 days, check with your provider. Basically, your insurance stops working. So it's essentially saying if you're not just on a quick vacation and coming back, your US insurance won't work abroad. So if you just go for a week on vacation, you can use your same medical insurance. So it should cover stuff if something happens to you while you're abroad. But if you're like us and you're staying for, multiple months on end, then what I do is to get additional travel, it's like basically travel health insurance. So there's a couple different companies out there. I forget the one we've used several over times. There's companies like Safety Wing. What is the other one I used to use? I can't even remember off the top of my head, but there's a variety of different ones. And it's not that expensive. I feel like it used to be around like $59 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically it then kicks in. So when you're gone and you're abroad, if your, initial insurance in your home country is not available because of how long you've been, then this basically kind of like nomadic insurance will kick in and you just submit your claims to them instead of to your original insurance and they cover those claims. So I do recommend that for sure. The one that we use covers both travel. So it will be like if your flight is delayed and you have to pay for a hotel or you lose your bag or whatever it is, it can cover that. And then also health insurance. It kind of like covers both of those, which is wonderful. So that's my quick thoughts on that part. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I've talked about this quite a bit in that old episode, but if you need to get healthcare abroad and you don't even have travel insurance, it's usually not that bad. I mean, North Americans come in with a mindset of, oh my God, just let the ambulance run me over. Don't even
so
put me in
expensive.
that thing because it's going to be $5,000 every time something happens. You find that that's not the case when you're traveling. Like you can
Yeah.
get some serious good healthcare. I remember like doctor visits that are like $30 out of pocket
Yeah,
in
it's amazing.
Cape Town. I even had an MRI done in Colombia. It was like $200 or something. Like it all out of pocket, no insurance. So you
Yeah.
might find that you actually get really good healthcare quickly. Like the places I went, it's like booked same day stuff, next day stuff. Really
Faster,
nice
cheaper,
facilities. Not
better.
like, yeah, you think it's like, oh God, it's gonna be foreign healthcare. It might not be as good. It might even be better. You might be surprised
Often
by how
is.
good it is and how cheap it is. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. If worst case scenario, you got to go somewhere private, it's like you're probably gonna be okay. I mean, I even got the dentist done. I had a new, I call it canal plus what's the thing that goes on the cap?
Crown?
The crown, yeah. Done same day. They just did like a new crown for me. It's like 600 euros in the States. That's alone. Like it's a ton.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I mean, it's some people even travel to get this done. Medical tourism. We won't go there today. We can at some point, but like people do travel to get
Yeah.
good work done for much cheaper. So it's less of a concern than people think.
Yeah. Yeah, we found again, like I think the overview of that episode was it was often better, less expensive, and faster in the places we were. And that's not to say everywhere. You might be on a small island where it's not going to be as extensively helpful for something, but a lot of places it really is, and it's like a way better system than where you might be from. So I know that's a big fear for many
Yeah.
people, but it's never been an issue for us, and that's how you do it with insurance. You might not even need or want to submit claims because it's not that much out of pocket.
Okay, this person said, I don't know if we can actually answer these. We'll see. Had to have monthly allergy shots. Don't know about allergy shots. If depends on where you go. Like if you might even find you don't have allergies where you're going. But if you need to get them, definitely look into where you're going because I can't see for
I was
sure.
like, you'll
on
probably
that one.
leave the U.S. and realize you're not allergic to things. It's just like the food. You're gonna be
Yeah,
healthier when you
exactly,
leave. No, but so, I
exactly.
mean, some places you can find allergy shots, or that might just be like you just don't do them, or you get them. Maybe you go home every other month instead, or I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I have a fear of finally moving and then more serious illness arising, which would probably necessitate returning. Yeah, I think that's a really, really common fear. Like, what happens if I get sick and I'm stuck somewhere? I think the answer is you can deal with it there. You don't need to return, and maybe you shouldn't return. A lot of places, like, just probably get it done there. Obviously, you're going to want to look into where you're going. Some places, yeah, like if you're in an island, an emergency happens, you'll probably get it taken care of. But if you're anywhere, I can't think of anywhere I've been where I wouldn't be able to get some medical care, or at least get to a place where I need to get medical care and probably be cheaper.
Yeah.
So
or you can always go home
don't
if
think
and when that happens.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. But there's this instinct I want to go back to safety because
Yeah.
of the unknown. But what I'm saying is like
Maybe the care
the
is better
unknown.
there.
I've never been in a situation where I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
like, mostly serious things won't, like, I think I want to give a little coaching thing first when you say it's like,
Sure.
it's just you're saying, this person is saying the fear of it, it's like not even a current issue, it's just like, what if I get really ill? It's like, well, what if you get really ill anywhere, but you want to live your life still? So I feel like it's, you're going to worry forever and not live your life versus go and do something. And, there's a thing that says, there's a little chart I love as a coach that says, do I have something to worry about? It's like, can I take action? Yes or no? If yes, do the thing. And then the new question is, can you take action? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then like, that's your answer, go. So it's like, if you're not sick yet, then go live your life exactly as the things, it's scary. It is scary and it is a risk, but it's so worth it to go. And as Jeff said, like, you can get help if you are somewhere. And I guess what I wanted to add to that is I knew a digital nomad, sort of like friend of a friend who I'd spent some time with, who found out she had breast cancer while she was in, I was living with her while we were in Thailand. She found out, and she was in India alone, traveling, and stayed in India, got care, was there for a year. It was probably way less expensive and maybe better care than where she was from. I don't know about that comparatively, but she decided to stay there. She did it. I think her mom might have come for like a little bit, but she was alone and went through that. Was that easy? I don't know. Would it have been better where she was if she was home? I don't know. But she also could have flown home. It's not like something that prevented her. So I think she chose to do it there. So that's one of those, like, you don't really hear often about like big things like that happening, but that is a possibility. And you might, maybe she would have chosen to fly somewhere else to a different country that had even better care for less expensive, or fly to somewhere where she had community. It's like there's a million different answers, but I would say like it will ruin your life if you let that hold you back and never go anywhere because of the things you're scared of. I would just say like go live your life, go travel if you have the urge and the calling to. Not everyone has to. And if and when something arises, you figure it out and you kind of can plan the best you can, but stuff does happen. Life does happen the same if you were home. So I would say you can always go back, or the care might be better where you are, or maybe you'll want to go even somewhere else to get even better care. Who knows? Last question, Jeff. Okay, so the question is, are digital nomads the first, quote, post-national generation? So I think what it's saying is like your identity is no longer tied to any specific country, culture, or border, and citizenship is kind of an optional thing, which is interesting.
I'm seeing more and more Americans doing that, just kind of like denouncing their U.S.-ness. It's actually I'm gonna call them out. I was traveling with somebody, and she's trying to distance herself from the U.S. as much as possible, like in group chats, saying things in kilometers and Celsius. And the odd thing is there's nothing more American than trying to show how important you are by than to show how non-American you are, to to signal the social status of not being American. I don't know. I do see that. I do see people distancing themselves from their country, their citizenship, more and more. But I think it has, when I see it, I think it has more to do with
taxes,
how they feel about their country, and taxes about how they feel about the country, rather than like I'm a global citizen kind of thing, like coming from a true yeah. Oh god, we see some of that in Bali, right? Some of our traveling yogis, I'm a citizen. Yeah, I'm a citizen of the universe. Like yeah. I mean, do we actually see that in a genuine way where people think, I am just a citizen of the world and I don't have any like national pride or anything like that? I don't know. It's hard to mix up one for the other, I don't know. What kind of depends on their intentions, because I see a whole bunch of them. What do you think?
I think that's a good point of like the reason behind what we're seeing is not really people being like, I want to be a citizen of everywhere. It's like they have roots, or they were born somewhere but they're just logistically doing things. I would say the biggest reason I see people doing, like, not tying themselves to one country or culture or border, as the question kind of went, was for tax purposes, 100%. And it depends on your country's rules. But I have some German friends and some Israeli friends who they are able to set up their situation where they can like literally kind of denounce residency, and they are actually a citizen basically of nowhere, which is really weird to think, because most people, when you kind of do taxes, it's like, okay, I'm no longer going to be a tax resident of this country because I'm going to be a tax resident of this other country where you're moving to. And now there's this whole weird thing with digital nomad life where you don't have to be a tax resident of any country, which is bizarre. And don't, like, I feel like get your tax information from somewhere else, like asterisk, we are not tax experts. But when I've seen it, it is literally 100% for tax reasons of people doing it. And typically those people are still like very much feel pride for their countries, where they're from, their language, their cultures. It's not like they wanted to give up their culture or their country because they didn't like it. It was like, okay, monetarily this makes sense, and they can only go home a certain amount of times per year, or every so often. So there's that. But I think otherwise, I don't see this happening anytime soon, where like digital nomads are just going to be like the post-national, I've never heard that term before, post-national generation, where they like are literally just citizens of the world and not a country and don't feel roots to anywhere. It's not quite there yet, but I do think people are more like, of digital nomads are more likely to say like, this was my home, but I kind of like being everywhere and I don't relate 100% to home anymore, and these countries and cultures are interesting, and maybe you want to move somewhere else because you like the culture or the geography or the people or the vibes, whatever, nature somewhere else. So I'd say it's more for that, but I don't think people that I know have ever really let go of like the heart of where like there's something I think inherently about humans where it's like we I don't know, you still are tied to where you came from. It's who you are and will always be.
Yeah, as much as you try to fight that, that's like it's kind of unavoidable. You were born there, you're a citizen there, you do have that in you. I mean, no matter how much you try to separate yourself from it, like you've got a lot of the cultural norms in you. You've developed with this, like, I mean, even little things you don't even think about. Like, I am a huge baseball fan because I was born in the United States. That's going to travel with me no matter what. It's going to be part of who you are. So, yeah, there'll always be an aspect of that, even if you renounce your citizenship and you become a citizen of the world and a yogi on the beach in Bali, creating courses. Yeah, you're still going to be from where you are. You might not have as much national pride, and I don't think there is as much national pride as you used to see 25 years ago. There's a lot more of that, and now it's just kind of passing. But also, I mean, these things ebb and flow. They're cyclical. You've seen that. You saw that in the United States. Vietnam, national pride kind of goes away. 9/11 goes up. Now it goes down again, and it's just, I think that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So I actually don't put a whole lot of stock in that question.
If anything, like the thing that comes to mind as you're saying that was, it's what Diego kind of calls like a third culture. So Diego moved around a lot, where I think if anything for digital nomads, it kind of just becomes a confusing, like you don't really belong anywhere. And in the same way, it sounds kind of bad and it's kind of hard because you travel and you're like, I'm not quite like my culture back home anymore because you've learned so much, you've lived elsewhere, but you don't really fit into the country you're living in because you weren't born there. You don't really know the ins and outs of either the language or the TV shows that people grew up there watching. And so I feel like as digital nomads, we all relate to each other in a way because we're all sort of like a little lost floating where we don't really belong home, but we don't really belong anywhere else. And like, even if you move somewhere, you can learn, it's like, it's kind of confusing in that way. We're orphans. So if anything, I don't feel like we're like post-national. Yeah. We're not like the world is mine. If anything, I feel like we're all a little bit lost and confused and orphaned in the world. And maybe that will change in the future. I don't see that changing anytime soon for nomads. I think that's honestly more the reality where it's confusing to fit into anywhere. And that's why we like latch on to other digital nomad friends and relate so much because those are your culture people. Like those are your people who you're going to relate the most to culturally, even if they're from other places in different ways. So I wasn't thinking I was going to answer in that way, but I would say if anything, that's probably how I feel digital nomads are more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
nothing else to add.
Yeah, with that, I forgot to mention if you want to be a lost orphan in the world, I always love when we like end on funny like bad notes. If you want to be an orphan in the world, get a remote job. No, but if you do want the freedom to travel and I'm in Costa Rica right now for a indefinite time. I don't know, like you can live anywhere you want, be where you want, travel where you want on your own time, like dip yourself into other cultures and experience that, live the non-American dream if you want. We do send out an email every Monday through Friday with fully remote jobs for companies that actually let you work from anywhere. So if you're not already on our email list, go to beachcommute.com/email to sign up for that. We also send out other kind of like remote job tips, travel tips, all that kind of good stuff, pictures of our travels. It's fun in there. So beachcommute.com/email. Other than that, if you found any value from this episode and you haven't, or if you've been listening for a while and you haven't given a 5-star review, we'd so appreciate it. It helps other people to find this podcast. It keeps us going for you. So if you open your Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening and just press the 5 stars, you don't have to write anything, but we do love your comments. And I think those are all the things I have to say. Jeff, anything else on your end?
No, that's it. I love these episodes. Just
send us your questions.
Send us your questions. Always send us your questions.
hello@beachcommute.com. We love to answer them.
Or just write them in the comments on Spotify. We see them all the time. Marissa's always interacting, loves these. Before I can even answer, comments. She's in there. She's I
don't know why. It's like the one thing I respond to like faster than text messages to my friends. And I won't respond to text messages, but I will respond to those.
Yeah, send them in. We appreciate it. Okay, we'll see you again next week.